Greetings, listeners. Welcome to the Whip 12 podcast. My name is Raymon, and I'm here with the other hosts, Khepri and Thomas. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we got three hosts in the room, so that means we're gonna talk about something important, and that's ITS16 Part 2. We already started with ITS16 when we were still in the N4 times. So Corvus Belli gave us a slimmed down version, and now that Part 2 has come around, we actually get the full version, and we're gonna go over the many changes. But first, I want to ask, guys, have you played games?
Oh yeah, I've played a bunch of games. I mean, I think I haven't played so much Infinity as when N5 dropped. Matt, this is like it feels like it's a full-time job now.
So envious.
Yeah. We have to say that Khepri is one of the hosts that's actually on the ball, like this is for sure.
Oh,
Yeah, he's actually played all of the missions in ITS16. No, I'm joking, obviously. But certainly more than I have. I've only played twice, and one of them was a custom mission, so that doesn't really count. But I am into it. I'm enjoying it. So I'm looking forward to this review.
Yeah, I've played my first game last weekend, and it was actually for the IGL satellite. So go in raw first game, let's do it.
Jumping in the deep end with all the sharks.
Yeah. Let's see how the competitive side murders me. But actually, I won my first game, so that's something.
right, that just means your next matchup is going to be tougher.
Yeah. I don't know if that was the right idea, and I think I also was pretty darn lucky. We played Unmasking, and I have brought a list where I am convinced that Cosmos Soldats can do work now, and it was actually the case because my opponent had Morats, and he had first turn and then marched up Kornak, and he was like, well, I've got Kornak with his marksman rifle and a full core team. Let's attack that Cosmos Soldat who's in a Harris with an autocannon, and my autocannon hit twice, so that was 3 saves, and Kornak just whiffed them all and died instantly, which was
Nice.
like, oh,
That's
good start.
getting hit by a portable autocannon is rough.
Yeah. Like most of the killing was in ARO. His reaction was picking up the Metcanoid and just placing as many turrets as he can in face of this Cosmos Soldat, like he will never move again or he will be hit by everything. But the end of the game was, I got to a position like it was third turn, and I had my Cosmos Soldat with heavy machine gun, and he had like 6 guys guarding the objective. I had to poop a button to at least win the game, or else he would have won by 4-2. And I had to kill 6 guys, and somehow my Cosmos Soldat did. But it was,
Oh, nice.
but yeah, like one failed roll, and he would have won the game. But somehow I cleared the way for my engineer, and she could poop the button, which was just an epic game. Like just one Cosmos Soldat John Wicking a whole Morat force. It's just by the end of it, we were so happy that we played this game because it was so epic.
I love it when that happens, and you get, especially at the end of a match, like when it happens in the middle of the game, you kind of like, whatever. But it's like, okay, I've got 6 orders, and I got to do like 8 things. So
Yeah.
I have to win every single roll, and you win every single roll, and you're like, yes, this is why I play this game.
Yeah. It was that kind of game, yeah, for sure.
So,
So yeah, it also, yeah, what I said in earlier episodes is what I expected. We had way more gunfights in the middle, not just templates being thrown and whoever survives it is the winner. So there were actually gunfights, and it was a really good back and forth. It's only one game, but I'm already feeling the changes, and I quite like them.
Yeah, they're very apparent. The whole gunfighting thing, I mean, you just your one wound troops are so much better.
Yeah.
It's great. It really does feel great.
Yeah.
And I'll keep on beating the drum with the parachutists. Guys, you gotta try out those cheap parachutists, combat jumpers.
Yeah,
Oh man, don't get me started. It's my favorite thing. I play OSS. Have you seen the Garuda? It's insane, unreal. Yeah. It's so fast. It's like it might be one of the fastest units in the game. Like, and it's an S2 little guy. You just jump on. It's 20 points. Great.
Yeah, and when I played the game against Morat, he had a Rodok. It's like, yeah, it goes 8-8. And I'm like, for sure? Oh man, I need to. Luckily, I could glue it with my patcher, or else I would be thoroughly screwed.
Yeah, I was kind of like concerned about the mobility, but it seems just fun actually. Like a lot of people as well have been like, oh no, but it's gonna everything's so fast, and but that's good. It's made the game faster and more fun. Like I'm for it.
Yeah, if you hide all your stuff, you have an issue. But I get the feeling we get more options to ARO. ARO is getting more important. So I think if you're just going to combat jump all around without getting cover and getting in all these AROs, it's not good for your health. So you got the speed, but you first have to clear the way. So I think it balances out at some point.
Yeah.
So we all have a feeling of the game now. So that's nice to hear. I will be going into a tournament Sunday, a real life event, which I'm looking forward to. It's been hosted in my honor. Like I'm the resident warcore in the Netherlands, but there are 2 other warcores that are now picking up where I am leaving off a bit because of the baby that's coming in. So they were like, we have to organize one, and you will decide on which time it is, so you can be there just as a participant and not always as the host.
That's very nice of them.
I have to, I have to show up, which I'm very excited to do. I'm playing Cosmoflot in IGL. I'm going with Tak to with just regular Ariana to that one, and then I will play Tak on the one I host on the end of February. So I'm trying to get through to all the Ariadnas, and then hopefully after that find a nice guest who also is deep into Ariadna and do some Ariadna episodes. That's my plan.
Nice.
So should we start talking about the new or just upgraded missions?
Let's.
I think we've first off there has been some things added. The one thing that has been added is that journalists are specialists now. Bum, bum, bum. Like the workhorse, they're. I'm actually. I want to now. When I saw that, I was like, I wanna do some. Like, the Warcore is your only specialist challenge. Like, your whole army has to be non-specialist. Just this lone Warcore has to haul his ass over the field, not trying to die, holding his camera, flashing everyone.
Sounds rough.
Yeah.
I know, I kind of like it. Like you can just spend all of your points on just killing things and then have like the smallest amount of points possible on like one specialist, just to, at the end of the game, to go and press the button. Hopefully win. Probably not.
It's like the ultimate Pen-O flex. It's like, well, I came in the room and started blasting.
Yeah. I gotta say, I don't love journalists being specialists. I get they've got like a fluffy reason for it, but like I bring a Warcore so it can die, and in some missions they score points, right? You score points for killing specialists. So now I've got this like disposable flash pulse guy who I don't actually want to die. So it's kind of like, depending on the mission lineup for any given tournament or match, you're like, well, maybe I don't actually want a Warcore because I'm just gonna stick them up on ARO like I always do, and it'll cost me.
Yeah. It's a fun thing for the inspiring leadership kind of army. So if you got Joan and you turn that irregular regular, so you can at least hide it and have a cheap order, but still, you run the risk of it being killed and scoring points. So yeah, mostly the positions where where the war core ends up is not mostly the position where you can also easily do some objectives. So
I did play a game today where it kind of was relevant, right? A lot of the missions are, end of game. So if I was going first and there was like no way for me to win unless I just completely left my opponent without any specialists, and I had to waste orders killing his war core. I mean, luckily it was standing up, because he wasn't expecting it to go down that way. But yeah, it is like another specialist. I think it is another way to stop you from being completely locked out of completing the mission. Maybe you want to deploy him now against a building, watching your back edge to watch for those deployment zone parachutists or just like regular combat jumpers, instead of having him up facing the world, right? Just in case you need him as a specialist later.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a different way of play now because of this specialist.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite good.
Try it out.
It is quite good, and it makes you rethink. I mean, it's such a ubiquitous unit. It gets into not every list, but probably a majority of people take a war core in every list. And so, like, yeah, it's just this thing you chuck in your bag and it dies turn one or whatever. But now you have to think twice about just sticking it on top of a rooftop somewhere, which is kind of good, actually, I think, to because approach the game in a slightly different way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it seems we also get some tactical support selection.
Now this is fun. I've played it like 4 or 5 times. The missions with tactical support in them, which are basically the new ones that they've added in. Now, again, like the tactical support is I think that the aim of this, like the missions that were removed from this ITS and were later added in during this part 2 are last launch, evacuation, and BPONG, and particularly last launch and evacuation. Well, particularly evacuation, but last launch 2 had an issue. Like evacuation was just so intensely rough on your orders, right? There were like 5 civilians, and to get full points, you kind of had to synchronize a bunch of them, move them across the table, launch them into space. You had a roll to synchronize a civilian, roll to launch them. So I think this seems like a way for you to get a boost, so it doesn't feel as bad when you miss those critical scenario rolls, right? When it allows you, like, let's go over the bonuses, right? You've got like one of them is you can re-roll a skill with a scenario label. You can get an automatic success for the scenario label. You can re-roll another scenario. A specialist trooper, this one has to be applied to a specialist trooper, can re-roll every skill with a scenario level. So this is really good, right? You get something like a specialist who's super good doing scenario things. You've got a wild card, which is actually pretty fun. It's actually pretty cool to be able to, pick one, whichever one you want. You can hand out censor, which is, I've heard a couple of Ariadne players complain about this. It's like, damn.
This is the worst thing ever. This is the worst thing ever.
Like they're just giving out censor now. It just makes no sense, right? You can give...
Makes no censor.
You can make a trooper a specialist operative. You can give a medikit or a gizmo kit to one of your troopers. You can cancel a tactical support, which is, okay, now we're getting into, games within games. Or you can hand out a Blitzen, an adhesive launcher rifle, or you get +1 whip to your lieutenant roll. So basically, like a smattering of effects. These are actually, they are symbols on your classified cards from the tactical cards, right? From the ones that you don't use for the actual classifieds. So the symbols are absolutely inscrutable, right? I've played them. I've literally played like this 5 times, and there's just no way you're ever going to learn like what each symbol means. So, I mean, I would highly recommend everybody to go with this page printed out, or maybe get like a shrunken down version or something. You kind of need this on the table for you to know like what's going on, right? To not have to page through this every single time, which
I can
is
believe that.
Yeah.
kind of unfortunate. But again, you can't.
There's just like 10 different versions of an aiming dot. Yeah.
That's
just...
exactly it. They all look like different versions of an aiming dot, right? So it's like, okay, so this is an aiming dot. What does it do? I mean, once you find out what your bonuses are, it's easier to remember. It's like, okay, so this guy is now a specialist operative, and maybe I get a reroll or whatever. But I don't know. It's just a little bonus. I don't think it really changes the way you play that much. Like if you get lucky and you get like, some of my favorite ones are the ones that actually persist, right? Because if for example, there's one where you can get an automatic success for a roll, there's really no player agency there. I mean, it's just, okay, the first time I have to roll for a scenario thing, I'll just get an automatic success, right? You're not going to hold it. It's not like I won't. No. I don't foresee myself waiting for that automatic success. You might as well get the value as soon as possible. But when you get the chance to, for example, choose a specialist operative between one of your players, or one of your specialists get the reroll skill, which is super powerful, right? They can reroll anything with a scenario label. Those are super interesting. And it's interesting to see, like, who do you give it to? And it's also, gets your opponent also a way to, well, maybe kill that unit if he thinks it's going to be, very important for your game plan. I don't know, right? It gives you a little bit more interest into, at least more player agency as to who do you give it to and what are you going to do with this bonus.
Yeah, it's like booty or meta chemistry. Sometimes you get something nice, and like if I roll booty 50% of the time, I get a light flamethrower.
Yeah,
it's half the table, I believe. They're just flamethrowers, and people tell me that you can actually roll for a sniper rifle. I still have to do that.
Let me say, Raymond, you're lucky, because I normally get them on a filament CCW, and I'm like, not happy at all.
Yeah, I think pretty much. In fact, I know from one occasion that where I rolled up an HMG, but every other time I've ever used a Yan Yan, which is a lot. Listeners who know me playing Khepri, they always just roll up like a double action CCW or an explosive CCW. I'm like, I already have one of those, so great.
Nice. Throw it on the pile.
Yeah, exactly. Just give him another sword, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. I kind of like this table, though. I think I was on the Lost of Lieutenant Discord, and Kev was complaining about this. Hi, Kev, if you're listening, and saying it was just like annoying and useless, and kind of like some of it's good and some of it's bad. But to your point, Raymond, it is kind of like the booty table, right? It's just an extra little thing, give you a little boost.
Yeah.
I kind of like stuff like Lieutenant gets +1 whip is it's one of those things where if you get it and it actually makes a difference, it's gonna be like once in a blue moon. But yeah, re-rolling just rolls for like pressing buttons and stuff is massive. Like, or just automatically succeeding is massive. So it's it's very sort of swingy. I think it could be cool. I mean, obviously I've not actually used it. We used the old rules and forgot actually all about this. And I would say that's one critique I would have, is like it's another layer of like new stuff sprinkled on, which you kind of have to remember. And maybe you do it at the start of the match, but are you gonna remember if you have the reroll? Are you gonna remember it? If you give someone a blitzen, are you gonna remember? Possibly not, which is maybe slightly annoying.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, and it's a valid critique, right? There are so many things to remember in Infinity. It really stresses like your ability to focus on just all the different rules, interactions, and the things you have to be aware of. And this is just one other thing that, again, like I'm very happy when it gives you changes to how you use a unit, right? When it changes your tactical considerations, because I think that is what allows you to give you another dimension to gameplay. And in this case, I think some of them do, and that's why I like them. Some of them a little bit less so. So I mean, yes, in that way, it is a little bit more like Booty, that it might change the way you use a unit, but it is kind of random. I would have liked a way for something like, for example, to give you like a single reroll to your scenario skill, that you could decide to convert any of those to that, because I think the idea of this is given out. This table is basically given out in missions that are very heavy on scenario and button pressing and stuff like that. So I have a feeling that the idea was to kind of give you a help there, and just being able to convert any of these to at least getting a reroll or something like that would fulfill it. But I don't know. I was a little bit more skeptical before using it. I thought it was, again, I also thought it was kind of like another layer of complexity that wasn't really necessary.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary, but I actually think it's okay. It's not that big of a load. If you have the table available for you to check out, what you have at the beginning of the game, it's fine. You get a little bonus, and you move on with your game. I don't think it's going to be game breaking or anything, but it is a nice little bonus.
Yeah, it could have been a little bit tighter. Like if all the random things you get is in the same vein as the automatic success and reroll mod, because the other stuff is gear, Blitzen adhesive gizmo kit, and now it's a mixture of both things. It would have been nicer if all were aimed at either kit or either to do the mission. That would have made it a bit nicer, but on the other hand, I just like that it's there. I've played with my Irmandinos. Sometimes you roll that +1 armor and you forget about it. And the other time you roll that mimetism -6 and your opponent has no MSV and you win the game just by one cheeky little smuggler that's booping all the objectives.
Yeah.
It can happen. I don't think it's game breaking. I think it's a fun addition. And maybe, the next time they will tweak it a bit. But for now, I'm pretty fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it does speak a little bit to, like, obviously we've just gone through this whole edition change, and there's been a huge amount of hand wringing about whether they've done enough or too much, or where they should have changed things and where they shouldn't, and all this kind of stuff. And there was this, at least it seems like a long time ago, there was this notion idea that maybe they weren't doing enough. That it was like, they're saying we're polishing the diamond and all this kind of stuff, and they've not changed some things enough. I think that's not the case. I mean, I think everyone would agree with that now. But I think this illustrates that thing that I think Corvus Belli have, the challenge of Infinity, which you were pointing at, Khepri, which is like, there's so much to remember. There's so many things to do, and to master this game takes a lot of time and effort. And you can't just like throw a massive curveball into it and expect the game to hold up. You've got to be a little bit careful about adding and taking things away. So on these kind of random tables, like, you want a random thing that might swing the game, but you don't want like 6 things that are all super powerful and are going to, if someone gets one and the opposition doesn't get one of those 6 things, then they lose. Like, that's also a huge problem. So I think erring on the side of caution, like they seem to have done here, just a little thing here and there, I'm okay with that. It's good. I will enjoy it once I remember to do it.
There's one time like, oh, I had a blitz and I could shoot that tag. Oh, yeah.
You know that one game when you go, oh, blitz, and like, what am I going to do with this? Throw it on my war core or whatever, and then it becomes super relevant, and you remember just after the war core dies in ARO, and you're like, oh, I had a blitzen. Yeah. Anyway,
that's the Infinity experience. Okay. like remembering things. I'm still from the N2 days. I'm still getting into games like, oh yeah, we forgot to put down our HVTs. So
yeah,
it's pretty essential stuff, and you have to remember it all. But in Infinity, ITS give it and they take it away. So there's stuff that we don't need to remember, and that's that they took away a lot of those weird extras that I'm always complaining about. they now brought it down to the ones that make sense. So there's the Escalation Tournament, Free Game, Spec Ops, Soldiers of Fortune, Direct Action, Reinforcements, and Resilience Operations. But no CQB or we can play, well, even though if the lieutenant dies, it doesn't count. Those type of stuff that probably no tournament has ever used ever. They're gone now.
Yeah.
And it cleaned up a lot.
I think that's a good change. It's a good cleanup because, I mean, it's just a shame, but people don't use them, right? There's a lot of rules in Infinity which are kind of like that, like the terrain rules. CB have been trying to get us to use terrain forever, but I think mostly, I don't know, but I most of the metas I've seen around the world are just allergic to adding in, trees, ocean terrain, saturation zones, difficult terrain of any type. So
I'm happy IGL is a bit stubborn, and like the first mission that they had, the map had 0G on it because it was a space station. But there they can sell it in a way like everyone is just playing the same map anyhow, so everyone is getting the same handicap.
Yeah.
While if you go to a tournament, you'd probably be a bit annoyed if you just spending orders because you had to slug through the jungle and end up with less points because your other players had an easier time traversing the table.
Yeah, you're right. I will shout out the unfortunately on hiatus Rose City Raid, which was famous for every single table being a hellscape of just all sorts of difficult terrain and extremely tough rules and stuff. So I mean, I think there's a space for that. I hope, I wish, I mean, maybe, be the change you want to see in the world. I'm going to have to set up one of those myself, but I think there might be a spot, with a proper forewarning, with a proper, having everybody in the right mindset. Like, hey, we're coming in to do something a little bit different. We're coming in to do something cool. This tournament is going to be played with tons of terrain on every table. So get ready for it, right?
Yeah. Call out to all the TOs and organizers. Be more sadistic.
I do like the idea.
Bring on your deserts and jungles and.
I feel like for me, the terrain thing is like you want the entire table to be the thing, because it's that thing of like putting down the little discs and thinking, remembering that they're there, remembering what they do, blah 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 blah. It's like the whole table is desert, the whole table is 0G, whatever. So then it's like we're dealing with this constantly. It's like always in your mind, and your opponent is always going to remind you, and you'll always remind them, oh, this is 0G. You've got to do whatever you've got to do. Like, it's throwing those discs down. It just does my head in.
No, the discs were like CB's try to get us to use the terrain rules, but they weren't a really good solution. I think they were like universally hated. I think the problem with making the whole table is that it kind of also takes away the interesting part of terrain, right? And in that it shapes the table kind of like the buildings do, right? You get a line of sight being shaped and how you can traverse, and then the terrain rules, make certain areas of the table also like harder to traverse by certain units, or by most units at least. So yeah, I think that's the interesting part, right? To kind of have it be in certain areas of the table, but not the whole table, and probably bigger areas than just a CD-sized disc.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it could. I think it could work. I think it's interesting you're saying like with what do you say, Rose City Raid, where like you've got tables where they've designed it from the start, and I think that's the kind of problem with the whole thing. We're going to maybe a bit off track here, talking about terrain, but it's that thing of like each person builds their own table. Even if you're just using the Corvus Belli terrain, like you arrange it in the way you want to do it, you add as much stuff in as you want to. So every table is so unique and so sort of specific to the person who's built it, the place that they play, and so it's like you almost need to build it into your table and be like, okay, well, my table is this kind of a place, and therefore when you play on it, you're going to experience, and you can build bits of physical terrain that are like this is a jungle thing. Oof, you can't move through it, or you move through it difficultly, or whatever it is. And that's talking about TOs and stuff is like, and you've got to think of it from that early stage of like, how is this table going to look? How am I going to build it to in such a way that you'll believe it when I tell you it's desert terrain or jungle terrain or whatever.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely something that you want built into the table, right? It just makes it harder, right? If you see all of CB's, cardboard terrain or buildings, it's not easy, but it's definitely the easiest thing to get your hands on, right? And I think it's harder to play with trees, for example. It's kind of, so yeah, it does have its issues. Let's go back to the idea.
Yeah, the game lends itself for an urban environment.
It does.
It looks like a lot of ITS15 has stayed the same. We still got some quas creatures, the quantum anomaly zones, the 0G zones. They're all still in there, which and a lot of missions that have stayed the same. There was a return of three newer missions, but they were already there in ITS15. They got a bit of a glow up. They changed a few things around, which you can discuss. But mostly I'm always about every ITS, like, do more new missions, change it up a little bit more. But I'm now with the new edition, I'm actually happy that they didn't change that much, because the edition is already a bit of a change, or a lot of a change. So if you go to a tournament, it's quite nice to have some missions that you remember, that you know, so you can focus yourself on how the game has changed, not as much that you also had to hassle with, and we also got some new missions. So I'm actually giving, this year I will give a pass for using the same missions, because it's actually probably the best way to go, and not screw it all up even more, for people to get more things to remember and changes in the game.
I agree 100%. I agree 100% with that. Like, we're just at the start of a new edition. I don't think it's the right time to shake up the missions too much. But I do think that there's another side of the coin, right? Like, when we're in ITS 17 or 18, I'd love to see big changes, right? I'd love to see easily, like, drop a third of the missions that we're used to, and try some new stuff. New missions come with growing pains, right? We're going to talk about, I think, in a little bit more detail, the returning missions, right? Bpong, Evacuation, and Last Launch. When they were first released in the previous ITS season, they were kind of rough, right? They had quite a few issues, and I think they've been polished up very nicely for this season. I think they are in a much better place. And that happens when you add in new missions. Like, the missions that we're playing in have been tested to death, like supplies, acquisition. Like,
it's just a mainstay.
Those missions have been played over and over and over. So that's good, in which we know that they're pretty well balanced, but that's bad in that they're getting kind of stale. And there's a lot of community missions out there that are very cool with different ideas, right? We've got BAMs. From Wise Kensai and everybody else. And the Lost Lieutenant guys also have, like, mission design contests, which turn up some really cool stuff. So, I'm all for, a little bit later in one or two IDS seasons, seeing something new, right? Seeing new stuff, new missions.
Absolutely. I think as you point out all those different sources, there is now, and I mean, even CB did their own mission competition, right? A couple of 3 years ago. Like, there must be a sort of critical mass of new good missions that people have made that CB are aware of, that can come into the next ITS season or the one after it. I think, to your point, Raymond, like, definitely it didn't need anything like special or different this year, but next year or the year after, if in 2 years' time we're still looking at the same list, or a list that's very similar with a couple of changes, it would be very disappointing, I think.
Yeah, and also, like, we can just have a direct call out to all the tournament organizers out there. it's part of the ITS that you can add custom missions into your tournament, right? It's not something that is frowned upon, right? There's a slot for that. You can say in the OTM, you can say that we're running a custom mission. So talk to your.
Yeah, there was even a limit. There was a limit that you could only bring in one custom mission. That limit is gone.
Right.
You can do.
So you can do like 5 custom missions on a 2-dayer.
Yeah, for sure. It's allowed now.
So I want to see that actually.
I like my tournaments always have like one custom mission, and I have a little directory of a few missions that I have, and I rotate them around and update them, and use them for my little tournaments. But this year I will just organize one that's just 3 custom missions.
Nice.
Just go for it. I'm happy that CB finally gave that freedom.
Yeah, it is nice. It is nice. I think it's also their way of saying, which is funny to me. The Infinity community is wonderful in many ways, but I do find it is kind of I have found it to be less open to like house ruling and custom missions and that sort of stuff than other ones, right? It's like I feel that what is written down in the ITS is kind of like a Bible, right? And we have to follow it to that. And I'd say it's fine. We can play custom missions. We can do that. It's fun, and I encourage you to try them out. There are a bunch of missions out there that are very well made.
Yeah, I've had discussions in the past. You don't put in custom missions. It's like, it's right there. It's the option. As an OTM, I can put in my custom mission. Sue me. It's it's part of the ITS to put in custom missions, and even so, you can bring in the old missions that I've done that in the past. Like over time, like ITS16, yeah, we have these 20 missions, but Corvus Belli had like 20 other missions over time, so they have a pool of at least 40 that have been in ITS. So I'm hoping that like Frostbite has been put in, taken out, put in back again. I'm hoping other missions would do so as well, especially with the new rules now, with most of the adhesive launchers and flash mostly hurting all of the models, like the bears and the wolves can be hit. There's no immunity total that much anymore. So yeah, bring back Hunting Party.
Yeah.
There you Corvus Belli. I would love a Hunting Party back. Just being there to using non-lethal weapons to capture lieutenants. It's a terrific mission.
That's right. That would be a blast. That would be a blast.
Yeah.
It's a mission I've heard about that mission so many times. I would love actually to play it myself because it seems to be a very well loved one.
It's so fun. It's so you make such a different list from what you normally do, because you really have to check like, where are my adhesive launchers? Where are my glue guns? And O12 wasn't even around when that mission was there. So when that mission comes back in, O12 will rule that mission. It would be awesome.
Finally, their time to shine.
Yeah. Being the cops that they are, just have to arrest lieutenants and specialists. I want to see that. Yeah, but actually, ITS16 has lost 2 missions from the pack. Looting and sabotage and power pack are not in there anymore.
Do you hear that sound? That is the sound of the world's smallest violin, because nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
I like power pack.
Sorry, I hate those missions. Sorry, I'm being very personal with
it. I'm throwing it in there, and Thomas is like, "You're not getting any response from me."
I'm being a little bit hyperbolic. I did enjoy them. They were okay, but I had some bad experiences playing them. But I also had some good ones, so it shouldn't be too harsh. But there are better missions in the lineup.
Yeah, the power pack has the issue that some of the if you're a big organizer and you're setting up tables, that it's a bit weird that you have to set the tables such in a way that you have enough cover in the corners, or else people will find out that when they were at the table where they had the regular 12 inches and they had lots of cover, then all of a sudden, because someone forgot to put in stuff in the corners, you're having a bit of a bad time. I have played a game where, like, of Power Pack, there are, even me and my opponent, most of the stuff was just in the open. So it sometimes can pan out worse if no TO checks if they're actually ready for Power Pack.
Yeah.
If the table is actually working for Power Pack. And yeah, looting and sabotaging. Yeah, some armies are better at just infiltrating the deployment zone with weapons that are anti-material than others. So yeah, if you add looting and sabotage, it really, people some armies just have a worse time with it. So I can understand where they're gone, but on the other hand, I like both. I like both missions, but I can see them because they can end up a bit asymmetric in some situations.
I'm glad that they removed looting and sabotage. I think it was extremely hard to stop certain armies from just throwing a clip smoke, and now with disco balls all over the place, it's even easier, right? Throwing a clip smoke and moving somebody into base-to-base contact and just blowing it up. It was just very hard to stop. I did really enjoy Power Pack's deployment. If the table, was kind of set up correctly, right? Obviously, if it's very easy to have a table in which, like you say, there's nowhere to deploy, but I did enjoy the difference, the different deployment, how that made over infiltrating better, how that made impersonating better, right? You could deploy them in different places. I really enjoyed that aspect of the mission. I wish they would bring that back, not the same mission, but maybe another mission with that split deployment zone or something. Just vary up the deployment zone in that way.
Yeah, for sure. Because I find that a loss. That there's you're ending up with missions that have the regular DZ with a few outliers that have 16 inches, and this was like you could go really a differentiate from the rest of it. So yeah, I don't want to see ITS just going to a point where every mission looks the same. So yeah, these are the mission. These are the kind of missions that change it up more. So yeah, I hope in the future that they bring games with different deployment zones, or even if it's a hassle for TOs to get everything in the right stuff filled.
Yeah. So about BPON, what are your thoughts about the changes to BPON? Maybe I can spell out a couple of them. Like, I think the big changes in how BPON works is that you can only move the beacon. So the way BPON works is that there's a beacon in the center, and you have to move a specialist up and grab the beacon and move it. By activating it. You can activate it and you move it anywhere within 4 inches. That relocates it. And the other thing you can do, there are 2 consoles also in the midline, and you can go to the console, boop the button, and that can either move it 2 inches or can move it 6 inches back towards the center of the table. Now, the objective is to move the beacon into the enemy's half of the game table. That gives you two objective points at the end of the game. And then this is another interesting part of this mission. It actually uses end of game round scoring, in which if you control the beacon, you get 1 point. And if you control at least one console, you get another point. So I think, the changes make this still, because of the end of game round scoring and the end of game scoring, I think it very heavily favors going second. But I think a lot of the feels bad of the original mission has actually been fixed, right? Because they changed it so that you can only relocate the tracking beacon once. You can only activate the console once as well. But I think much more importantly, you can't actually magnetize the beacon if it's being controlled. Now this is critical, because before, you could have like a really tough unit controlling the beacon, and you're very happy. You've got everything under control. You've got everything, and they just move up to a console, touch the button, and the beacon.
Yeah, I flipped it out of your hands.
The beacon like moves out of your hand and goes
Yeah.
back to the center of the board, and that was very frustrating, right? So at least now you're forcing them to come out, kill your trooper, and then take the beacon, right? I think that really changes the whole thing.
Yeah, because I don't know how your guys ended up, but the games ended up. But my games of Pong were mostly just my opponent. Because I'm also happy that the exclusion zone is smaller. Because you got to a point where I got mostly to a point that I had the one console, he had the other console, and then mostly the ball just stayed in the middle for most of the game. Because of the exclusion zone, it took more orders to get there, then punt it forward, but it was just one button press to get it back again. Trying to control it had made no sense, because you mostly could get it out of someone's hand. So it ended up in a bit of a stalemate, and then by the end of it, then someone had the last button press, moved it a bit, and then you scored. But now it's actually a reason to go after the ball and try to kick it that way.
Yeah, I like my games were actually, I had two types of games of Pong before these changes. They were games in which no matter what the first player did, the second player would just touch a console and touch the beacon, right? And then that would allow him to get 2 points. And if you did that for 2 turns, and before with the scoring how it was before, you'd basically only have to do that in 2 turns to guarantee a win, because that would give you 6 points. Now that would only give you 2 points. So sorry, 4 points, right? To use your second player advantage to like control the beacon, and that would mean that you could be shot off the board on the 3rd turn, and you would still win. That's not true anymore, right? You would actually have to control. You would have to control that all 3 turns, or at least at the end of the game, have the beacon in the enemy half of the table or whatever. And also the whole thing of not being able to remove the beacon from player, I think allows you, if you're going first, to try to move the beacon to somewhere where you've got like a very heavy ARO presence on it or something, and just make it much harder for the enemy to pick up.
So there's just this more to be focused on the ball, to layer arrows has more meaning than it has done in the past. Where it's just the back and forward, and the back and forward was mostly in favor of the second player.
I've only played this.
Is there even a tactic where you could, or a strategy where you can take the beacon? You can move with the beacon, right? You could just run around carrying it. So you could just take it back to your own deployment zone.
No, you can't. The only way to move the beacon is to actually activate it, right? You have to get in silhouette contact.
But your point about having a lot of Overwatch on it is totally valid. I like it. I prefer it now than what it was. I've not played it, obviously, but the way you described it sounds really good.
I have played it. I think it plays very differently. It is still a second turn favored mission, I believe, but there was a lot more back and forth. There was a lot more going on. So, I mean, I didn't feel it was a crushing, disadvantage to go first.
Sure.
No, because of the exclusion zone being smaller, I see myself like the first turn you can start killing, but you can also have an easier time to get to a place where you can put the beacon in a spot where it's in advantage of you. Especially now with all the placing of different total reaction rifles with the bots, you can easily go first turn, get the ball, set up your ARO, and hold out with a strong unit holding it. I think it's pretty possible.
Yeah, I mean, it can be done. It can be done, right? I mean, the thing is, you supposedly you'd want to move the beacon towards your opponent's deployment zone, but that really only gives you 2 points at the end of the game. So I don't know,
Yeah.
if you're going first and you want to try to make a play for those, controlling the beacon points, you might want to actually move it towards your zone and try to control it there.
Yeah, just to have your opponent spend more orders to just get there.
Yeah, I
To
suppose
get it back.
it can encourage a certain type of play where if you're going first, as you were saying, like setting up an Overwatch situation, which obviously are hugely table dependent, but like the kind of AROs that you set up for going second are not going to be the kind of AROs you necessarily want if you go first. So you're going to want to be able to maneuver your sort of chosen ARO pieces to such a position where you're going to want to send the ball. So it's kind of like from before your first turn, you've got to think, okay, where am I going to put that ball, and where am I going to move my pieces in order to get enough eyes on it to be able to do something if they try and move it. So then it's quite an interesting question about, well, how would you deploy in that first turn, and are you going to, your sniper or whatever, your missile launcher, are you going to put it on that rooftop, or actually you could deploy it somewhere else because you might need to move it forward a bit. You might need to think a little bit about where you want it to be at the end of turn one, and not where it will, where you would start it as you would in a normal game.
It's just Dutch soccer tactics with guns.
Yeah.
Keep control of the ball.
Yeah.
Keep your sniper on it. Because if you keep control long enough, you score more points than your opponent. So it doesn't matter where it happens, as long as you have the like in Dutch, you play it back to your keeper. Just have your defense just to pass it around a bit, and then look. Yeah, and by the end of the game, look for the opening that you can put it in your opponent's DZ.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. What's next?
What's next? Evacuation.
Okay, so this one also got quite a few changes, right? And evacuation gets the new tactical support. What are they called?
Tactical support.
Tactical support options.
They're called tactical support, right? Yeah. So you see,
we get 2 in BPong as well. So
I found them, like, you really want to get the ones which help you, pass those scenario rolls. Nice thing to remember is that the civ-evacing a civilian has turned into a scenario type roll too, so you can use that for an auto success or for a reroll with civ-evacing a civilian. And this is that mission where there are a ton of civilians in you've got the
civilian
this is the civilian. You've got the two. You've got your two HVTs, your opponent's two HVTs, and then you've got like two civilians in the center. Sorry, you've got the evacuation, the two evacuation consoles in the center.
Yeah.
So I think that's been changed around. You used to have the evacuation consoles closer to your deployment zone.
It's now in the middle, so you don't have to run back and forth.
It changes a lot. It changes a lot of the orders you need to do. It's also makes it easier. It creates a lot of interplay there, because I found that you try to control, right? You try to put AROs on those evacuation consoles, but that just provokes more firefights, right? It's always, you always have to keep in mind that you're probably sacrificing, whatever you put out to ARO just to slow down, right? Just to slow down your opponents. But I found the changes here to be extremely good, right? I think this used to be a mission where it was almost impossible to complete the amount of evacuations you had to do, and the amount of the order intensity of it. It's still a very order intense mission, but I think it's changed just enough. I think I found it to be very fun to play. I like this new evacuation.
I like the consoles in the middle very much. I like that, obviously your HVTs start close to your deployment zone, so you can run out, pick it up, and run to the middle of the table. And then from there, you have the option to stay there or do whatever, or you can then go forward, try and get your opponent's HVT. So it's a bit more of a smooth, as Raymond was saying about when the console was in a different place, it was sort of like you go out, you come back, you go out, you come back. And this way, it's sort of like feels from the outside, from just looking at it, that it would be a smoother kind of progress through the match as you're trying to always be moving forward, basically, which is what you do in pretty much all of the missions. So it feels a little bit more natural in that way.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a bunch of models you have to evacuate, right? There are 4 civilians, 2 on your side and 2 on your opponent's side, and then each of you place 2 HVTs, right? So there's like a total of 8 on the table, but of which you can really only extract 6, right? You can extract all 4 civilians plus your opponent's HVTs. I think you can't extract your own HVTs.
Yeah, so then you've also got to think about defending your HVTs as well.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's 1 point for each civilian. That's 4 civilians right there.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get them all, right? And then you get 2 points for each enemy HVT. So that's 4 points for extracting those 2 HVTs. But they're going to be harder because they're going to probably be defended and placed in a better spot by your opponent. And then finally 2 classified objectives. So I think it's a very interesting mission. It is still a mission that's very taxing on your orders and your specialists, but I think that's good, right? I think I like that in a mission. You really feel the pressure to like spend orders moving and civivacing and launching those civilians.
Yeah, and I'm always happy with more missions that put in those civilian models, because Corpse Belly has brought out a lot at some point, but yeah, you only needing 1 HVT makes me I want to paint the other ones, use the other ones. Like this is a better form of rescue.
You're very right. You're very right that it's nice to be able to use all those gorgeous HVTs. Like some of them are just so cool, and being able to use more of them is always nice because you end up with a big collection of them, right?
Yeah,
I love my HVTs.
Man, I've got a 20 plus. I want the sectorial just for civilians.
Yeah.
Probably could fit a whole army on the table. Just 20 civilians.
That I think another thing that is interesting about this mission is that obviously civivacking, nobody gets a bonus to civivac, just the bonus, the base +3 that you get for trying to sink a civilian. But for the extraction part, forward observers get the +3 and 2 dice.
That's cute.
And I think that's very nice because number one, like forward observers are available to every army and they're kind of widely available, right? I think it's probably the easiest specialist to get, and they normally don't get a lot of love. Yeah, they're cheap, they're available. Like a lot of units can be forward observers, and
mostly forward observers are also there are a lot of infiltrators that are also forward observers.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Very handy.
So I think it's very handy.
Ariana, look at you, yeah.
Very handy to be able to have like such a powerful bonus on such an ubiquitous troop, right? You're going to have forward observers in your army. Like if you want to specifically build for this mission, you can add a ton of forward observers to your army. So I think it's a good thing, right? And and I think, is this the only mission in which the bonus is given to a forward observer?
The only one that I know of. I do like that. I think they could do with more missions because there's tons of missions that have a hacker bonus, of course, and that's all right. And there's a couple with Doctor.
Sometimes a doctor, sometimes an engineer. But
it's like, I think FO engineers, doctors, they need more missions so that because you often will come into a tournament, especially if it's a 2-dayer, and it'll be like, okay, so there's 3 hacker missions and 2 doctor missions. And you're like, okay, well that's like an obvious way to build, and maybe that's nice for the players, but from my own side, it's a bit more like, give each mission a different thing. So then you've really got to, work with what you've got. So yeah, I like that, more FO stuff.
I was actually looking at that and just add a little custom rule sometimes to it, just to mission. Like I'm gonna draw a type of specialist out of this hat, and that's the specialist that gets the +3 in this mission. Just to
that's cute. That's a good idea.
Just to change it up. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this little mission. Like if people know the Rescue of Old, this is just a better rescue mission. It's also very thematic because I always think when I explain Infinity to people, it's like, hacking stuff and pulling out civilians out of desperate situations. And I also like it when a mission is very order intensive, that you take a lot of orders to do the mission, because that means you have to make a choice between either killing your opponent or doing the mission. And if you kill your opponent too much, then you might end up just putting just one civilian in civivac, and that's it, and then you score 1 point while you killed your opponent's army. So you have to be a bit smarter about your resources.
Yeah, I think that's something very, very interesting that you pointed out. Like when this mission was out, a lot of people were there were lots of suggestions about how to fix it, because it is true that the original version was extremely hard. This one is still very hard, right? It's still a hard mission. It takes a ton of orders and a ton of whip rolls and everything. But one of the suggestions was, well, if you extract more civilians, then you get that typical, give me a point for extracting one, and then give me 3 points for extracting more. They did not go that route, and I think it feels kind of intentional. This is like, no, if you want your major victory, you will extract civilians, right? It's not spend 3 turns obliterating the enemy and then just grab one civilian and save him, and it's like, okay, everybody else can die, but at least I
Yeah. That's a really good point. That's my issue that I have with acquisition. It's like, you kill your opponent again and again and again, and then you just move in your units against the right spots, and you win by the end of the game.
That thing of like, you have more so you get more points is a bit this is a really great example of like, actually that's not great design. Maybe it's good for some other missions, but like it allows exactly what you've just described, of someone just to run away with the match from actually having not done a whole lot of objectives. So it's nice.
Like, how many times did I have heard people say, this game ended 8-2, but it was really swinging, and it came down to this one dice roll, and that dice roll was like 4 points swing over to the opponent. Totally. It went from a draw to a major because just one objective.
How many times have I played a match where it's like 2-2 for 2.5 turns, and then it ended up at 8-2 or 6-2 or something, and you're just like,
right. And once you do the work, you can also bank your points. That's also important. If you brought out civilian, good. You have this 1 point. This 1 point is not being taken away any way, shape, or form. So you can start doing this stuff like in the first second turn, because you're banking points for the end of it. So it really is not just go ham and then see what you can do in the third turn. Because if you want to do everything in the third turn, you probably don't score that many points. So I'm all for these type of missions.
Should we go on
then we're gonna go to the
last launch.
The last one. Last launch. Stuffing guys into rooms and launching them into space.
Yeah. It's very thematic. I think like the big issue with the previous version of Last Launch was the Evo Hacker bonus, which made it like very hard to beat if somebody had built for this mission, right? Because what would happen is that Evo hackers did not could just launch without having to get the ID, right? Did not have to download an ID. So the way this mission works, just in case our listeners are not familiar, there is an armory mission, right? There's an armory at the center. There are 2 consoles at the center line at each side, and then you need a specialist to go to a console, download an ID from it. Then the specialist can either use the ID himself or give it to another troop, and then the other troop has to launch, by which it means get to the center of the objective room and use the button there that launches you into space. And that removes one of your units from the game, which is like, I think it's a funny, or it's kind of intention, because you win by launching more of your units into space, but in points, but the more units you launch into space, well, the less resources you have, right? You not only have to deal with your opponent killing you, you have to deal with you yourself, letting go of your big expensive pieces. So it's rough, right? But the thing is, with the previous version of this mission, the Evo hacker could just launch by himself. So you would get some armies to adding like 2 or 3 Evo hackers plus getting the baggage bonus, right? Because baggage would be an extra 20 points, and would just coordinated order launch your Evo hackers out. And there was basically not much you could do, right? The opponent, if he had built for the list, would be able to like be like 60 points in the lead or more, just by launching a couple of Evo hackers. So I think removing that was a great idea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of
And
sense.
now because you're just bypassing the step of a specialist getting the ID token and having to also give those tokens to units so that they could launch. Yeah, that's just.
And also, like vanilla, not vanilla, but combined army don't need any more legs up in this game. Like they have that one Evo bot which is smaller than everybody else's Evo bot and actually has a gun. So it's sort of like this is a mission for them to win, just to win it straight away from the first go. In the previous version.
Yeah.
They already have Norkios. They can't have it all.
Yeah.
So yeah, here in this mission you get you get the points. There are 2 points for extracting more army points, 2 points for extracting more specialists, which is actually very interesting. This is when I played this mission, this is how I lost, right? I focused very much on the army points, didn't realize that the specialists were very important as well, right? You also get 2 points for killing more specialists, right? So you're incentivized to bring the specialists to be able to extract them, but you also give up easily those 2 points of getting your specialists killed. 1 point if you kill the same amount of specialists, and at the end of the game dominate the launching tower. 1 point plus 3 classified objectives, which is quite a lot. So
this is
rejigger.
Also quite an intensive mission, like the previous one, with all that stuff you have to do, and 3 objectives, 3 classifieds.
Yeah, and launching your specialists and launching your troops means that you have less orders and you have less specialists. So yes, you have to do those 3 classifieds while you're down on specialists, down on orders. It makes it much harder. This is still a hard mission. It's very intensive to launch people, right? You have to boop the button, you have to get the ticket to somebody else, or either use it himself.
Yeah.
You have to clear out the arrows to be able to launch from the tower. It's an interesting mission. I found it very fun, right? I found it to be fixed. I think that's kind of like the theme I'm seeing here, right? They added those missions in, but now they're like properly polished and properly tested. I haven't found any big issues when playing them.
Yeah, I'm just. It's always fun to have the missions where you have this middle room where we all want to stay in cover and shoot each other from afar. But here we have to just get into this little cubby and just kill each other to shit while we're trying to get away. It's just, I love it. So unfortunately, Thomas had to jump out. He launched. He took an ID card and he launched away.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really like this mission. I think these 3 missions are all 3 of them extremely heavy on order expenditure and doing stuff. This mission gets no bonuses for the downloading the ID, not if you're a hacker, not if anything. So you're going to fail. You're going to have to spend more orders on that
unless you draw that tactical support.
Yeah.
That can help you.
CB giveth and CB taketh away, right?
Take it away. Yeah. And this is the mission where you just draw blitzens and damn it.
I really wanted that reroll now.
I will make good use of it.
Yeah. It's good. It's a good thing that this scenario has no retreat, right? Because you're launching your troops out and stuff, so it kind of makes sense that it doesn't have retreat.
It would turn silly if you take a faction where you just have 2 very expensive tags. Just a specialist getting into the middle, launch your 2 tags, then say, I'm in loss of I'm under my threshold, and then the game's over.
Yeah.
Just
The other thing they fixed, I forgot. I forgot to mention this before. Right? The other thing they fixed before, you would launch your lieutenant, and it would be like in a weird sort of limbo, where you would be like basically immune to loss of lieutenant because your enemy couldn't, your opponent couldn't kill him, but he wasn't like completely dead. He was launched. Now, if you launch your lieutenant, you will go into loss of lieutenant. So, you will properly, your chain of commands will properly trigger and all that. So good.
Yeah, something to keep an eye out. Like it's just bad form for an officer to be the first one that leaves the battlefield.
Yes. I mean that I'm glad it puts you into loss of lieutenant because he should be the last guy to go, not the first one to hit the button and say goodbye.
First one in, last one out. Hoorah!
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So. Are there any missions that you're happy that are left in, and are there missions that you're like, well, maybe ITS17, maybe they could go?
Yeah, I would like to see like Biotech 4 is kind of like a love it or hate it mission. I would love to see it get a little bit of a rework. I think it's a little bit too punishing to like have to move your army out of the deployment zone in your first turn. I think it's a little bit better for vanillas this season because you do get like limited access to fire teams and stuff. But
you got some duos. So that helps.
You've got some duos. You've got a Harris. So okay, it's a little bit better. But yeah, it's a mission that requires you to build around. I like it. I like it, and in as far as it it forces you to like break out of your usual game plan. But it can lead to like some like if you're going first and the table is too open and your opponent has tons of AROs out,
and they flip the command token that you're only allowed to use one command token. So so you cannot coordinate yourself if you're a vanilla
It can
player.
get rough. Yeah, it can get real rough. It can get real rough. I don't know. But on the other hand, I do miss cryogenics. I think that mission was actually really good. And I wish they would bring that one back, right?
I'm all for engineering deck. That's the one. We have 5 objectives and 1 room to fight over. There were just so many ways you could, you could come. You have to spread out, but also, maybe focus on the things that were important to take. I'm of a strong believer that acquisition has stayed its welcome. Like I said, just this is just the game mode that where you, if you're, I've so many times I've played against some player that had 2 hidden infiltrating troops, goes second turn, just reveals those infiltrator troops by the end of it, boops both button, goes control it, gets in the middle and scores everything. I think or someone just goes, well, I don't do acquisition, I just murder your ass.
which if you're going first is your only shot, right? That is what you have to do.
Your only shot.
You're forced into that.
Yeah.
You can't really play the mission going first.
Yeah, acquisition. I've made my own versions where you have to score per round, and that already makes it a lot better. All those points by the end of the game, it just doesn't really fit well.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Acquisition has less things, has less positives to balance out the negatives, right? It's just a very standard setup, and it doesn't really have anything flavorful. It also has like that 16-inch deployment zone, which makes it even worse because your alpha strike is going to be like right there.
I'm just here to murder. It's the game that ended the most into a 10-0, just by the sheer alpha murder or just revealing yourself by the end and scoring everything.
Yeah,
and I think it needs a rework, or it needs to go. But with the other missions, I'm quite happy what they, at least that they with the reinforcements, some of the missions are a bit skewed. But yeah, reinforcements isn't played anyway a lot. But they still, they're still keeping their hopes up with saying that some missions are made for reinforcements and some are not. So
yeah, they like you said, their hopes are up. Let's see if the community takes them up on it.
yeah. We have to wait for that to be updated. But if they update that, I hope they will make some missions that are just primed for reinforcement, not just going over what's already there and saying, well, this is good and this is bad for it. So yeah, that's my hope for the coming years, that they come with better reinforcement rules, because I think it has potential, but it's not there yet.
Yeah, it is kind of sad that they seemingly gave up on the game mode, right? They could have tweaked it. It could have been like something interesting to do, or I don't know. I'd have to see. But I'm plenty happy with regular Infinity, so it's not like
yeah. No, with now the new edition, we've got enough to explore.
Yes. Like armies have been so deeply changed, right? It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah. So yeah, that's ITS16 part 2. Also, before we go, resilience operations still brilliant. I find it fun. It's still there. I'm happy with the card pack. If you want to get our mentions on it, go back in time and go to our resilience operations episode. Still holds up, I think, in this edition. It's still fun. I'm going to have a resilience operations tournament that I will organize it 23rd in the Netherlands, and just all resilience operations, all the missions, all the 3 missions will be resilience operations. We're gonna flip the script a bit by doing the first one as open information, so you know what your opponent has for missions, just to get people, because we've got a lot of beginners, just to get them a feel of like, this is what your opponent can have. It will be an asymmetric game. And then do the second and third one really close, like Corvus Belli has meant it to be. So we're gonna have fun with that.
It sounds like a bunch of fun.
Yeah. Well, any last things you want to add, Khepri? Because Thomas, he already launched off.
No. I think we said all we needed to say about the about this season. I'm glad, right? I'm glad. I think we got some changes, and we got some good changes. So I'm pretty happy for them.
Yeah. All in all, it's just pretty solid. They already has made the move that the defensive turrets are out, because we're already putting them ourselves with our engineers up on the table. So we don't need any more.
Yeah. No more turrets. Thank you. We're bringing plenty ourselves into the game.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, people. Let's have some fun with it.
That's right. Go out and play some games.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, and we see you all next time.